So today I'm going to sit down with you, Lydia. I'm going to ask you some questions about your business, and then I'm going to share with you what Aflac looks like, and then you can determine if this is going to be something that you might want to make available to your staff or your employees. Okay, so I'm explaining, hey, here's the context of the meeting. And then the second thing is, if you do determine this is something you might want to make available to your employees, we're going to set up presentations. And we can do that one of two ways. We can either do a group presentation or individual presentations. Now, when I get to the point of asking her questions, I'm going to explain the reasoning why individual presentations are by far the best means if it's conducive for her business, okay? But I'm laying this out right now at the very beginning. If we do determine this is something you want to make available to your employees, we're going to do presentations. We're either going to do group or individual, and then we need to have a follow-up date within 24 to 48 hours. So, I'm laying out right now at the very beginning of the presentation what this is going to look like, okay? And I think that's really important because a lot of people, I think, don't do that. Because then even if you close effectively at the end, and you close and the business owner says yes, and then you say, well, okay, so now we have to, and you've already, hey, it's 10, 15 minutes into the meeting, and now you're asking for those dates, and you might maybe get one. So talking about the 2 dates at the beginning and the importance of having individual presentations if you can. Does that make sense? Mm-hmm. After that, I'm gonna share with Lydia, something that I come across in this business a lot is the business owner tries to do my job for me. I sit here for 15 minutes with you, and then you're going to go try to tell all your employees about Aflac. That's like me trying to tell people about what you do in 15 minutes, and that's something that I come across. It's kind of comical. You're not an insurance agent. You don't know anything about insurance or Aflac, and you're going to go try to tell your employees. They're going to have questions you're not going to be able to answer. It's actually a pretty funny thing that I come across a lot. That's a huge objection, and I'm addressing it at the very beginning, so she can't use it against me at the end when I close. Okay? One thing I train on is, if you know your most obvious objections that are going to come up, address them at the very beginning of your presentation, so that way when you close, they can't use it against you. And if Lydia at the end tries to use, hey, let me poll my employees, I'm going to laugh. I did this many times. I'd be like, I was like, you're kidding, right? Are you joking? Remember what we talked about earlier? That's like the biggest thing I come across is a business owner trying to do my job for me after I've talked to you about this for 15 minutes. Oh, yeah. They can't use it, right? So hit the other objection. Lydia, we're about ready to dive in this. I'm going to ask you some questions. Is there anybody else that needs to sit in on this decision? Is there anybody else, or is it just you?
I wish. Nope, just me.
Okay, perfect. Okay, so that's the other one that we used to come across a lot is that you could close, oh, I'm doing good, this feels great, and Lydia's going to, she's got to say yes. And then she says, oh, this sounds great. I think we might want to do this, but I got to run this past so-and-so. Call them back a week later, call them back another week later. So hitting the objections.
What if I had said yes? Yeah, my husband decides everything for the farm.
Are they available? Can they come sit in right now?
No, he works full time.
Oh, works full time?
Yeah.
So is he involved in the business at all?
Just like the back office stuff at home at night.
Okay. So if you determine that this is something that you would want to make available, no matter what, you're going to have to get his okay?
Right.
Well, here's the thing. I really think it's going to be more playing the telephone game usually doesn't work. So if I explain this to you and then you go try to talk to your husband about it, it's not going to come through the right way. So here's what I suggest. Let's set up a meeting where all three of us can sit down because I don't really think it's going to do us any good to really run through this and then you go try to talk to him about it. And like I said earlier, it's like trying to talk to your employees about it. It's going to be the same difference with your husband. Is that okay if we set up a meeting with them? We'll just reschedule this?
Yeah, and you can even use the wording there that makes it sound like it's best for them. I don't want to waste your time, and this would definitely be a waste of your time because then you'll have to hear it again because your husband's going to have, so make it them focused as well.
What if they said no to that? What if they said, I really just want to meet with you and find out about it?
If they push that hard, that hey, then I would say, well, I can go over that with you if you really insist. But can you provide me with the opportunity that once we go through this, if this is something that you see as a good fit, that all three of us can sit down in a second meeting.
I like
So
that.
I'll bend a little bit.
I'll give you something, you give me something. I like that.
Always ask for something in return. Because what you don't want to do is waste your time and your energy. And I know a lot of times, as a new associate especially, you're like, oh, I got an appointment. Come on, let me get this account. Come on. So and then, you know what I mean? And you're not going to get it. Because she's going to go and doesn't know anything about what you said. Oh, it's insurance. It's, oh, yeah, we don't want to do that. And then you get called back. No. So those are the bigger ones. I think the other or objection and rebuttal you said is the busy, being busy, and we're so busy, the season, whatever, we're going to have to push it off. So that's not one that I addressed initially, but if it is one that you guys are coming across a lot, I would come up with whatever, what you think would be the best rebuttal to that. And honestly, that's probably one, it's kind of a tough one, but I would just communicate, right now I would use healthcare reform. That would be my rebuttal to we're so busy, because come January 1, this is the first time in this nation's history that you either have to decide to pick up insurance or not. So even if it's not Aflac, if it's major medical, your employees, whether they realize it or not right now today, they're going to have to make some really tough decisions. And we can be that delivery for you. And that's why I think it is pressing. It's more pressing than you probably realize. And I understand that you're busy and the last thing you want is an employee getting injured and then being, in a really tough situation. By offering them this Aflac product, you're giving them an opportunity to protect themselves. And we can help them with, determining some of these healthcare reform issues as well. So that's probably what I would use, because I know you brought that up. That wasn't something that I came across a lot.
I think that's probably because we're not addressing the objections in the front. That was something I just heard from Matt Cook last week. I'm like, oh my gosh, genius. So I'm glad you're bringing it out. But because we're not hitting those objections, like the pulling your employees up front, because we were following lease, that was probably just an objection that they gave to put us off. So they could go pull their employees or whatever. So I think the pulling the employees was more the focus, and you address that by doing it before you even tell them who Aflac is or what they do.
Pulling employees or leaving materials was the absolute very last thing that we ever trained, for sure. So once, and this whole thing only takes a few minutes when you're going through it. I just want to explain to you guys the why, because I don't think if you don't understand the why the right way, then you're not going to, and you guys can say it and have the verbiage that you guys want to utilize, but I just think the pieces and the structure is what matters to close effectively. A strong intro, and then laying out what's going to happen if they do determine that this is something that they want to make available, and then hitting the objections. So hit on those. Those would be the first three things. And then I'm going to lead to, okay, so Letty, tell me a little bit about your business. How long have you guys been in business? What do you guys do here?
About 5 years, and we make mops.
You make mops?
Mm-hmm.
All right. So how many employees do you have?
About 30.
You have 30 employees? Okay. What has been, your sense with, the healthcare reform and all of that? Have you guys been providing major medical? Do you still offer? Did you have to get away from it? I guess tell me about that a little bit.
We do provide major medical now, but we've been thinking about, if it makes more sense financially to get rid of it, that may be the thing to go. I just heard it costs $2,000 an employee. Well, I'm spending, 3 times that in their health insurance now. So we've been thinking about whether we need to keep that. We had a lot of part-time people that, the 30 are full-time, but we had probably about the same number of people that are part-time. We don't offer them anything.
Okay. So you would say that your major medical expenses out of your budget are pretty high.
Yeah.
Okay. And and I'll come back to some of the solutions here. But are you aware that if you're under 50 employees, that you're not mandated to offer major medical to your employees? You can actually give them the option to go to the exchange.
I have to pay the $2,000 fine.
If you're under 50 employees, no, you do not.
Cool.
But additional to that, I read someplace where the part-timers get computed.
They have to do a computation.
There's a formula for it.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, no, I didn't know that.
Okay. Well, and again, that's something that we can go over a little bit more. So, been in business for 5 years. How's business going? Is it going good?
Good. People use mops, let me tell you.
Awesome. So, I guess let me ask you, tell me what you know about Aflac.
I think my daughter brought home a duck from her work one time, but other than that, I don't really.
You've seen the commercials?
Yeah, I've seen commercials.
What would you say is your takeaway from the commercials?
I know he's sick right now or something. I saw that one. He's in the hospital and going through physical therapy or something. But that's really all I remember.
People either love them or they hate them. But what's usually pretty common is there's a misconception of what Aflac really is. So I don't want to dive too much into what Aflac is, but I think it's for you to understand the fundamental differences. With major medical, like you said, you've offered, that's set up and designed to pay the doctors and it pays the hospitals. So if something happens, your insurance company pays the doctors and pays the hospitals, right?
Right.
And then you're left with deductibles, co-insurance, co-payments that you're responsible for. And what we see moving forward in the future is that's only going to get bigger and bigger and bigger. So that's money out of your pocket when something happens. The fundamental difference with Aflac is every single one of our products are set up and designed to pay the consumer directly. So if you have Aflac in place and something happens, Aflac sends the money directly to you. So if you need to utilize that money for deductibles, co-insurance, co-payments, that's fine. But if you have more pressing needs, you can utilize that to pay, your mortgage, your rent, your car payment. Lydia, let me ask you one question. Can you tell me what the number one reason why people file bankruptcy is in this country?
Credit cards or housing.
Medical bills. 63% of all the bankruptcies that are filed in this country are due to medical bills. And what's alarming to me, and I think to everybody, is that almost 80% had some form of major medical in place when they filed. So how can that be happening? It's happening because every year the cost of major medical is going up, which I'm sure you've experienced quite a bit. We've talked about that. The cost is going up and your deductibles and your co-insurances are going up. So every year the cost goes up and your coverage is going the other direction. Okay? And your major medical is only set up and designed to pay the providers and the doctors. Aflac's product is set up and designed to pay the consumer directly. So this is a product that can really help in that piece. Now, from a business owner's perspective, this is the best part about Aflac, is that we can come in and we can offer these products to your employees at absolutely no direct cost to your business. If your employees decide they want to pick up a product from Aflac, they're paying the cost of the product. The reason why I'm sitting down with you and the reason why we go through a business owner to make it available to the employees is it saves them 35 to 40% on the rates by you making it available through your company through payroll deduction. So this costs you nothing, and you're giving your employees access to protect themselves with these products, and they're the ones paying for it. And the first thing, Lydia, that I'm going to communicate to your employees is they need to thank you for making Aflac available because you're saving them 35 to 40% on the rates. This is going to make you look like a hero in the process. So I'm giving you the ability to offer Aflac to your employees at no direct cost to your business. The first thing I'm going to communicate to your employees is that they need to thank you for making it available because it's saving them 35 to 40% on the rates. And just so you know, just like I'm not, this overbearing salesman with you today, the second thing I'm going to communicate to your employees is these are voluntary products. You can pick or choose any combination or none of them. I'm just here to explain and educate you up on what they are and how they work. And that's why I need 2 dates, presentations and follow-ups, is that when I pass out this information, I'm going to say, hey, take it home, go over with your spouse, and then when I follow up in a couple of days, that'll be your opportunity to participate at that time. That's another important piece to go over with the business owner because they're giving you the opportunity to present to their employees. They don't want some pushy salesperson coming in and overbearing their employees, right? So for one, I'm building up this to the business owner, making them look like a hero, and I reiterate that like 3 or 4 times throughout the presentation. And then I'm also going to let her know that, hey, I'm not going to come in and be pushy with your employees. I'm just here to educate them up. And then lastly, the other thing, and depending on the size of the group, how much time you take on this, is if your employees do elect Aflac products, we're going to pre-tax them. And that'll actually save you a little bit of money in FICA taxes. So, and I know I'm kind of summarizing a little bit, but, to summarize, Lydia, Aflac's going to give you the opportunity to offer our products at no cost to your business, to you. It's going to save your employees 35 to 40% of the rates. It's going to make you look like a hero in the process. You're protecting your employees. That's going to improve employee morale, reduce turnover. And the more employees that participate, the more money we're going to save you in taxes. Is there any reason that you can think of why you would not implement Aflac?
I have high sales resistance, and that caught me off guard. So nope, we're good to go.
All right. So I talked to you earlier about our presentations. We need a date and a follow-up date. And with the way that your business is set up, if everybody kind of scatters out, you tell me what you think would work best. But I can tell you, if we're going to get away from major medical and not offering it, which I think is probably a good idea with the exchanges that are going to be available and saving you a ton of money, it would be important for me to guide them in regards to that. So I think the one-on-one presentations, if we can make that possible, would be by far the best scenario. So if we can do individual presentations, that's great. What would be a good day for us to set that up?
Okay, and then we move into that.
And then the follow-up date 24 to 48 hours later. Does that make sense? Was that helpful? I hope a little bit.